All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Up and In Show. She got nervous when I clapped. That was it. Uh-oh.
She's like, I'm out.
Oh, no.
Bye.
We just started. We are in our downtown location. I am joined by a very special guest, Lizzie Roussel. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You just got named to the New Zealand Olympic diving team, right?
Yep, that's right.
Okay. I'm so excited to dive in. Dive in. Wow, you see what I did there? Wow, that was cheesy. Didn't even mean to do that. But you are a former LSU swimming. It's called swimming and diving, right? They group them together, right? At LSU.
They're together.
Yeah. So we're going to dive into your story. I'm excited to hear all about that. But before we do that, I do have to show some love to a few of our sponsors that allow us to make all this magic happen. St. Rock Vodka, the official vodka of the NIL, the BioTraditions NIL Collective. Every bottle that you guys buy of vodka goes back into a collective for our athletes and allows them to make some money and allows us to keep getting great athletes so we can keep winning national championships and producing national champions. Also, Rejuva Me Medical, the anti-aging clinic here in Baton Rouge. They do all kinds of stuff from hormone replacement to all the stuff that makes your skin beautiful and all those injections and all that good stuff. They are incredible people. They have locations all around Louisiana. Rejuva Me Medical, make sure you guys check them out. They have a nice social media presence as well. And then, of course, Fresh Chef Kitchen Baton Rouge, meal preps, all kinds of healthy eating. If you guys are on the run, if you guys are athletes, if you guys are family members that have kids that play sports, they offer meal prepping. They have a location on Airline that allows you to go in and buy meals, one at a time, or you guys can do a subscription model. And if you guys use Anthony 10, you get 10% off your first order. So thank you to all our great sponsors that allow us to make this happen. Thank you guys for listening, if you did. But anyway, the real reason that we are here, Lizzie, do you go by Lizzie more?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's what I figured, yeah. That's what we call you at F45 too, so I just want to make sure. But thank you again for your time. We had Athena in here. We know you were busy. You were training for the Olympics. Which is absolutely incredible. So I am very gracious and grateful for your time.
Thank you.
Talk to me. How crazy is your life right now? Or your mind, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the past week has been pretty chaotic. I mean, being named for the team. Before then, it was like just training for hopefully the Olympics, but it wasn't, official or anything. Yeah. So it was very low key. I was just doing it, day in, day out. Then finally I get named officially, and there's just all this chaos at once, interviews, everyone's trying to talk to me, everyone's trying to, I'm booking flights, planning the whole thing. So it's just all happening at once. And it's very exciting, but time's overwhelming too. Yes,
I can only imagine. And it's one of the best, 3-4 weeks of the year. I mean, every 4 years. But one of the best sporting events, that we all look forward to as normal, everyday citizens. So I can't imagine what you're going through as an athlete and some of the things, all the logistics and all the hard work, too, that you have put in. I mean, coming to fruition, all of that. So what's that process like, though? Because, I was kind of bugging you and annoying you at F45, always asking you, so what's the word? What's going on? How does the whole process work? And explain to me, how New Zealand does it, because you're a New Zealand native, correct? So how does that whole thing come about?
Yeah, that's a good question, because diving, I'm not sure about the other events in the games, but for diving, it's a little bit different. So we can't have every country going to the Olympics for diving. There's just too many.
Right.
So there has to be an allocations, criteria where they choose the best countries and the best divers from those countries to represent at the Olympics. So you're allowed 34 divers per event, per gender. So there's women's 3 meter and men's 3 meter, women's 10 meter and men's 10 meter. And then they have synchronized diving where you dive together. Oh. So if you're in a synchronized event, you don't count, you do count as one of the 34.
Gotcha. And now that's 34 per country or just for all of the Olympics?
All of the
So there's 34 divers?
Yes, that's it. 34 divers.
And you're one of them?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That's what I was
chills.
waiting.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's what I was waiting for, was the call to tell me that the Olympic Committee has contacted my country and sent an invitation for me to dive.
Chills, that's wild. Oh my God.
Yeah, so there's a few competitions. There's the World Championships that I competed in Japan, and then there's Continental Games. So for America, it would be the Pan American Games.
Gotcha.
We had Oceania Championships, where the top spot gets a spot for the country. So whoever wins. I ended up coming third, so I didn't get a spot there. And then the last one's another World Championships, and that was in Qatar, Doha, Qatar.
Yeah. Wow.
And based on your ranking, that's where they get the information to allocate. So it's just this big waiting process. Some people know straight away if they're like winning, then the top, you know, they got the invite. Yeah. But then there's this big group of divers who are just waiting for the official allocation.
I can't imagine that stress. And you're just going to these competitions the last 3 years, right? And doing all this stuff. And when was the
Well, not even 3 years. My daughter's 2.5, so it's really only been like the past year of being like very competitive.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The other, the other year was just trying to get back into shape. Physical shape, I guess. Which,
unbelievable. We are going to dive into that because that's something, and you talked about having Carrie on the podcast and she had a baby, working at F45 and just the bounce back. We went through that. I think that's super. I just think it's one of the miracles of life. Like actually, the way, you guys won, carry a baby and then have the baby, but the way that you guys bounce back as athletes, as trainers, all this kind of stuff. So absolutely incredible. But that's another, we'll dive into that. But I'm still fascinated that there's 34. That's absolutely insane. And you're just waiting for a phone call.
Yeah, pretty much. I have my husband's a CPA, so he's all into the numbers, and he had these charts you should make it based on the rankings and everything. Way. Yeah, he was pretty spot on with the predictions. I was awesome. I need that official word. I can't just go off your Excel
your
spreadsheet.
Projections. Yeah. Shout out, that's badass. Good for him though. That's really cool. So what are you guys? When do you guys leave? When do things start moving?
I still actually haven't got flights yet.
Oh no.
Yeah, but they should be booked in the next few days. They keep telling me, but. I am going on a training camp first for a few days in Scotland.
Gotcha.
And then we'll head into the village round on the 25th of July because the games start on the 26th. Wow. The diving starts on the 27th, but I won't compete until the 7th of August.
What?
Because they have
the way your events go and
and they'll have prelims, and then they have a day break, and then finals, and then a day break, and then it's because the venue is also hosting synchronized swimming and water polo, so they're kind of trying to weave that all in there too. So it's kind of dragged out. Yeah.
I had Kristen and Taryn. I do their podcast, and so I produce that with them. And we were talking about that. It's kind of wild because beach volleyball is like that. They'll play 2 games and then they're off until the first week of August. And people are coming in and out and going. They could be done in one event and gone. It's so crazy.
The beach volleyball venue looks so sick.
I know, it's right underneath.
It's right there.
I know.
Anyone have tickets?
I know, right? I was trying to say that. I'm like, yo, so you think you could hook it up? I'm trying to come out there for a day. I need to be under the Eiffel Tower watching you guys play.
Yeah, seriously.
The producer of the podcast might get a pass. I don't know. I was thinking I was shooting my shot, but that's awesome. So that's crazy. So how excited, the Olympic Village, that's got to be pretty bucket list. That's got to be amazing. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings about that? Is there any anxiety, fears, excitement? What is that?
No, just a lot of excitement. I went to the games in 2016, so I have an understanding of what a village is like.
Okay, so you didn't do the COVID. Ago. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. But you didn't do the COVID one, right? Because the COVID one was definitely a little different.
Well, I qualified, and then I got pregnant, so I had to skip it. Honestly, if I had to skip an Olympics, that would be the one that I'd want to skip. But, yeah.
Speaking of being pregnant...
Hello, little Athena. Creation.
Come sit with us. First toddler baby on the podcast, on the purple couch. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, what have you got to say?
Yeah, are you excited about Paris?
She's like, what? She is excited. My in-laws want to take her to Disneyland Paris, while I'm not competing. Yeah, so she's
absolutely. Well, it seems like there's enough time in between events. So
yeah, for sure. But
wait, so you don't even compete until the 7th?
I don't. So I will be training.
Hanging out.
Yeah, so the diving boards, they've actually had a revamp in the last few years where we have this new technology, and I train at LSU, but we don't have that.
Oh, wow.
So it's a little bit of an adjustment to just jump into a pool with those. They're called fulcrums.
Okay, I was going to say, talk to me a little bit about it. Again, dumb it down for me, please.
Yeah, so a fulcrum, so if you imagine there's a springboard,
Okay.
and the closer you move the fulcrum to the front of the springboard, the harder it is, so it doesn't bounce as much.
Gotcha.
And the
So
more
you're
you
not
move it
getting
back,
as high off the board,
yes,
right? Okay.
the more you move it back, the more it can bend. And this new technology makes it so that the board bends more and you can jump higher. And it's just, there's just a slight difference in how it springs back.
Gotcha.
Which I can get used to, but I just need that time. So it's nice to get used to it. And also, you know, the buzz of the Olympics and just seeing people I look up to and just, you know, the whole thing is just like overwhelming. So
you'll be able to take it in a little bit, breathe, and not have to jump right into the competition right away.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's nice.
You know.
Wow, that's really nice. Good.
What you doing, babe?
What are your thoughts on opening ceremony? Are you excited? So
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Like so my friend from Norway they're not allowing her to go to the opening ceremony. So I'm still like hoping to get the, you know, official word, like my flights and everything, that I can go to the opening ceremony.
Okay.
So far it's looking like I can.
Nice. What would be the reason that you wouldn't?
Excited.
Just like logistics and travel?
I don't know. I really don't know based on numbers, I guess. So this year's Olympic ceremony is different to every other one. We're going to be on boats.
And that's what
down
Chris
the
and
Seine
Taryn were
River.
saying,
Yeah.
So it's just a capacity thing. It's a numbers.
Capacity,
people,
and then I think there's like a financial element based on the village. You know, each country will get like a building. So based on like rooms and things, I think that's, I don't know. I really don't know who makes these decisions.
Yeah. It's a pretty important job, I guess. So
yeah,
a lot of things to figure out. All right, so let's talk about your journey. New Zealand. Grew up there, lived there your whole life. Is that okay? How far away is that? Pardon my ignorance. What's a flight?
The whole journey usually takes close to 30 hours.
It's because it's
We have to take multiple flights usually. There's not like a direct, and then, you know, the layovers and things. But the longest flight is probably, I think, like 13 or 14 hours.
Oh my God.
At once. Yeah, it's definitely not close. It's not close at all.
Yeah, and geographically close to Australia, just right? Or
Yes,
like down
it's
by
3 hours from Australia.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So very close to Australia, yeah.
Wild. How LSU? How do you end up here? How does that work? And obviously it was because of swimming and diving and that opportunity, right? But why LSU? Why America? Why?
I had a coach at the time who was Canadian, and her husband was American. He knew a lot about the system. And I was, you know, entering those years of high school where you kind of started thinking about university and everything. And they said, you know, there's places in America where they could pay for everything. And I was like, what?
Yeah, huh?
Like, you know, up until then, I'm thinking I'm going to have to get a loan, work, like probably stop diving, all these different things, you know, just like everyone thinks. And so I was like, okay, like tell me more. And we started making recruiting videos, and I got a bunch of offers, and I took a trip. I narrowed it down, and I took a trip to Tennessee and LSU. Those were like my top ones.
Okay.
My teammate from New Zealand ended up going to Tennessee the year before me.
Gotcha.
And I visited him sometimes, and like I was just, you know, taken away by the facilities and just how athletes are treated. I was like, I could not believe that you could get, you know, the tertiary education and dive and get it paid for. Like it just sounded like a dream. I was like, why would I not want to do this? I get to do what I love for free.
Yes.
So I took a trip to both, and because New Zealand is so far away, I took him consecutively, so it wasn't just like 1 week and go all the way home and come back. Like I couldn't do that. So the LSU one fell on a game day, like, and it was one of the hottest days like recorded at that time. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like what it's like. But I was just taken away by like, you know, Death Valley and just the atmosphere. And the dive team was really fun, and I thought it was so cool that there was a tiger on campus. Like it was just like, you know, I was like, this is so sick. I love Tennessee too. And honestly, my decisions at that time as an 18-year-old really was quite silly. I decided LSU because I liked warm weather and because purple and gold were better colors than orange.
Seems logical to me. I mean, I'm in.
That's like,
that
was like my list of things, like pros and cons. I was like, this is what it comes down to. So I'm going to choose LSU, and I did.
At 18, I mean, you don't have a ton of life experience. You don't know what you know now, right? I mean, and as a kid from Jersey, I grew up in New Jersey. I'm like, I want to play baseball year round. So warm weather was a must for me too. So like, I was the same way. I came down here and I was like, this place is freaking amazing. Like, I don't care that I'm sweating everywhere. I'm good with it. As long as I don't have to go inside to throw a baseball, like, count me in. And then the fans, and like you said, I was like, I didn't even go to a game on my visit because like the way it was a game day weekend, but my niece was getting christened, and I was like, I didn't even have football at my high school, so I wasn't like dead set on seeing a football game. I was like, I saw enough. I'm like, I'm in baseball, basketball. I love it. Yeah, it's amazing. So
I mean, I had no idea what was going on. I was like, because we don't.
You guys don't have football, right?
Yeah, I mean, we might, but not like to this scale. So I was like, I don't really know what's going on. It kind of looks like rugby, but like completely different at the same time. But
wearing helmets, hitting each other a little harder.
It was just the fireworks and like the cheerleaders and everything. I was just like, they really go hard here. Like, this is cool.
A lot of people at this one game. That's what I was like. Just the way they care about the sports here and everything. So I always like to ask that question to people and see what drew them in. And had you heard about LSU growing up at all in New Zealand, or knew anything about it?
I didn't know anything about like any universities except like Ivy League schools. Not about sports.
Just about good education, kind of.
Right? Like the Ivy Leagues and like, you know, the shows you watch when they talk about that stuff, but nothing like that. And, you know, I was still learning as I came here how big sports is, and then how big it is to be a D1 school and stuff. So I didn't, I didn't know what it was all about. I
love that outside of America, every country calls it university. I don't know why I love that. And I'm like, I can always tell somebody's not from America when they call it university.
In New Zealand, high school, we call college, like, it's interchangeable, college and high school.
Really? Okay.
So, like, so I think of...
University has to be
now I think of college as, like, as LSU, like university. But before, when I came here, I was like, college is high school.
Yeah. Some college classes might be like high school too, so
a little bit.
For the athletes. That's awesome. So fitness has, you know, been a big part of your life right now, and obviously to be an Olympic athlete, it's a huge part of it. But what about growing up? I know you have a fitness page and some things like that now, but were you always into fitness? Were you always working out?
Yeah.
Always diving from a young age?
Yeah, I did a lot of sports growing up. Like, I love sports. My parents were just big Olympic fans. You know, they just loved Olympics. Because
That's
growing,
awesome.
like, coming here and seeing how some people don't, like my husband's family, for example, they weren't that big on the Olympics. His dad played like football in college, and it was more like, you know, baseball, football, basketball, and those things, like their main event is not the Olympics. Correct. So it's like, it's more for those niche kind of sports. And especially as a woman, like there's not... that, you know, I can't play in the NFL or the MLB.
Absolutely,
it's like,
just limited options, and especially what people watch and stuff like that. So
so my parents were obsessed with the Olympics. So like, imagine being like one of the best athletes in the world, you know. So they put that in my head, and I didn't know what sport I was going to go into, but whatever it was, like the Olympics was the goal. So I did swimming, rugby, gymnastics, like a bunch of different sports, taekwondo. I did taekwondo with diving up until I was like 17.
Damn.
Yeah, and then I had to choose. My brother was into taekwondo too. He was a little better than I was, and then he went into boxing and kickboxing. So he did that, and I just fell in love with diving. So
that's amazing. That was my next question. So just one brother, one sibling?
Yes. Nice. Yeah, younger. We're a year apart, and he's meeting us in Paris.
Nice.
I'm excited. Yeah.
Did he ever do anything past like high school or that age group?
He was boxing for a while. Like, he did a few fights and things, but I mean, you know, boxing is very intense. When you get hit in the head so many times, like he needed to take a break. But now he's into jiu-jitsu, but it's more like recreational. Very cool. So competitive. What about mom and dad? Did they play sports, doing anything growing up? Or? My dad used to run, and then my mom was a swimmer. Okay. So she coached me swimming. That's what, like, I kind of should make me wake up so early. I'm like, why am I doing this? She's like, you're going to the Olympics. Okay. And now, like I asked her, I was like, why did you push me so much and not my brother? Because he's just as like genetically gifted in sport as I was, if not better. And I'm like, why don't you push him to go to the Olympics? And she just says, like, I just never like complained. I just did it. I guess I was like complaining in my head because I remember like not liking it, but I guess I didn't like say it out loud. I'm not doing this. You know, I just did it. But makes diving, sense. I loved gymnastics, and I was competitive, you know, 20 plus hours of training a week from a young age. And I broke my arm, and I guess my mum just thought it was too dangerous and I withdrew. But I still missed flipping around in the air and things. So I just tried at a public pool. Like my mum used to coach at the pool, so I would just go play. And I was flipping around the boards, and then the coach saw me and told my mum, like, you need to bring her to diving.
That's how it started?
Yeah, that's how I went, and I just didn't stop.
So gymnastics, actually, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, you look at the divers and stuff, it's very similar moves, right? Like movement patterns and things like that.
Yeah, a lot of divers come from gymnastics or trampolining, but more so gymnastics. Yeah.
I'm surprised your mom doesn't think diving is dangerous. I've seen some bloopers where people, like, some of those spills are kind of nasty, and it's, like, scary being up that. I mean, just watching them, I get anxiety, like, just being, that's crazy,
Yeah, you definitely can hurt yourself in diving. There's a lot of injuries, but I would say the one thing that is better is we're not landing on the ground, so it's not as much impact on our joints, and when you do fall, unless you're hitting the platform itself, like you'll bruise, you could bleed a little bit, but you're not doing anything crazy.
Do you train, can you train alone? Because I was immediately thinking, like, what if you slipped on the board, or God forbid, and you hit your head or something, and then you fall in the water?
Yeah,
like,
so it's been very interesting this time around training, because there have been times that I have to train alone. And it's like very scary because obviously I've done these moves a million times, but it just takes 1 second.
Absolutely.
So sometimes I'd wait till like my husband got off work and he would just come be at the pool just in case. Because right before I left for Qatar, my legs gave out on one of my dives, and I was like this close to hitting my head. Like it was, like I've been very lucky in my diving career. Yeah, knock on wood.
Yep, we're knocking on wood.
But like that really freaked me out. Even leading into that competition, I just kept like, because you can't predict it. My legs just gave out, and I just went into a little ball, and I was like, please, you know, like don't hit. Oh my God. And then I landed in the water, and it hurt my back, but like. Yeah,
you'll take that all day.
Alive,
exactly, rather than a cracked skull.
Yes.
Holy shit, that's wild.
People always ask me, like, do you still get nervous? I'm like, every time I dive, I'm always nervous.
So. All right, well, talk to me about that, right? Because like, so my show, I love talking about this kind of stuff. You know, I'm sitting down with one of the best athletes in the world right here. Talk to me about how you process fear, right? Like we all kind of have nervousness, we all have anxieties, we all have fears, and we all do it differently. So how do you battle that? What is it for you? Do you have a breathing technique? Is it a mindset thing? Is it just like, I embrace fear?
Yeah, it's
comfortable with it?
It's different for everyone. I went to therapy a lot when I was in college. It was just a tool that I decided to use. It was free. I was like, why not?
Absolutely.
And that helped a lot, like just kind of regulate my emotions and be able to see them in a different way. Wow. And I also started going to yoga all the time, which I feel like yoga helped so much. I initially went for my back, like I was having back problems, so I thought maybe I'll just go. And at the time, LSU was sponsoring this, and it was right next to the natatorium. So I'm like, why not just go like once a week and see how it goes? Nice. And it was like the breathing whilst moving. That was like a consistent breath throughout the whole movement practice, that I was like, I can do this in the pool. So especially in competition, I will try to like maintain the same like breath. Like when I'm on the diving board, like just focusing on the breath. When, you know, there's cameras in your face, and there's like so many people staring at you. You have to dive off this little thing into the water. I'm just like, it doesn't matter. Like just focus on your breath. Like, and you kind of just have to trust that your body will do what it does, like what you've been doing for so long, like muscle memory. So that's a lot of it. And I do try to like fake confidence, even if I don't feel confident. Like I always tell myself before I go, I just need 3 seconds of confidence. That's all. Wow. I can be freaking out afterwards, but just in this moment, like I just need to just exude confidence, and then
that's wild.
Freak out later, you know?
That's crazy to think that you train so hard for 3 seconds. That's wild. Wow. But I love what you said about your emotions, right? You can, and I kind of always say this to people, and, you know, I deal with a lot of stress. I do a lot of different things in my life, having my hands in a lot of different pots, but emotions are going to come and go, right? And you can experience them without being tied to a certain behavior, right? So I love how you said that you learned how to experience your emotions and stuff like that, and handle different things like that. That's, I mean, huge key advice. So shout out your therapist too, and shout out LSU for giving people, unbelievable. And I love that you talked openly about that, because I think a lot of people are nervous to accept therapy or to go to therapy or to work with a mental coach or a mental skills coach and all this kind of stuff. But I think it's, you know, the power of the mind is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it all comes down to awareness, I think. Like, a lot of people aren't aware of how they're behaving, what they're thinking day to day. And that's what I thought therapy did the most for me, was just allow me to become aware of things that were either controlling me or, you know, having an influence on my day-to-day thought processes or how I would act, and then like being able to interfere when I needed to and stop that thought process from, you know, playing out in a negative scenario in my life. It's just the awareness. How do you know, like, you know, if you're an annoying person, like, how do you know if you're being annoying unless somebody tells you? Like, you don't. You just keep acting that same way.
Absolutely.
So I think that's like something I try to carry on with, like, my whole life, is just reflect, like, how was I behaving? What am I thinking? And all these things, and try to, you know, fix them or
manage them
exactly. Think a better way, more positively. But also, you know, giving myself grace, because we're all human.
We're human, exactly. And that's the biggest thing. Abby asked me the other day, we left a business meeting, and I could see her mind was spinning, you know, and I was like, just breathe, you're good, you know. And she was like, what's been the biggest thing that you think you've learned from being 24 to 34 now, you know, like, because she's 24, I'm 34, and in business. And I was like, probably self-awareness, honestly. That's probably the biggest thing, is understanding how I'm presenting myself to people, what I'm doing well, what I'm doing wrong. And then, like you said, exactly what you said, I said, giving yourself grace, because you're going to mess up, right? I curse, but try not to curse that explicitly. But just having awareness of how you're presenting yourself to people and things like that, right? How you're coming off, the energy that you're sending. So I think that's... energy
is huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you know, before you even say words to people, you can feel, you know, what's their vibe, like that person's exuding confidence or they're obviously very anxious, like you can tell.
Yep. I think I read somewhere or heard somewhere, and I don't know the exact numbers, I'm probably going to mess it up, but only something like 13% of our communication is actually through the words that we say. You know, body language, tone, you know, mannerisms, all that kind of stuff actually communicates more to humans, human to human, and stuff like that. So that's absolutely fascinating to me for people.
Yeah, for real.
Yep. Sounds like somebody's trying to break in over here. What we got? Oh, yeah. Well, I absolutely really enjoyed that part of the conversation right there. And I think, again, people look up to you. People, you know, see you on this platform, this stage, and then they're going to see you at the Olympics and see you perform at the highest level. And to hear that you're human and you do the same things as everyday people, and then how you know, manage those things. And honestly, that's, a lot of people probably dive really well, right? But the difference is that little mindset or that ability to perform.
Yep. It's like, that is the biggest thing I've seen. And unfortunately, I think for a lot of people, it's those subconscious things that they're not aware of that's affecting their performance when they need it.
Yep.
And you don't know until you know. Like, you have to explore that.
Yep.
It's, I mean, yes, it's physical, but at that highest level, everyone's fit. Everyone can do their things, you know. It's how you compete, so.
Yep. And that's where, I mean, it just reminded me too, it's why I played a game of failure. I think learning from failure and that subconscious belief to be able to bounce back and do it again, right, overcome adversity, all that kind of stuff is what truly makes somebody a good competitor, good at their sport, that kind of stuff, so.
Yeah.
And that's all ties back to mindset. How do you handle that kind of stuff?
It is. I mean, coming back from, like, I got unexpectedly pregnant. It's something I talk about very candidly, because, again, I'm only human. Like, I live my life just like anyone else. I'm not perfect. And that was a shock to me. And I just thought, you know, this happened. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to become a mom, and I'm going to try my best to do that. And so when I came back to diving, there was this big, like, thing in my head. I was like, okay, people probably just like think, okay, what is she doing? Like, how are you gonna, you know, you just gave birth, like, how are you gonna actually qualify for an Olympics and stuff? And like, it was a crazy idea in my head, but I never thought, like, I can't do it. Like, there was no like thing in my head that's like, no, this is too hard. Like, this is I was like, why not try? Like, why not try and people can think what they want, but like at the end of the day, when I qualify, that's going to speak the volume, you know, like they can say what they want.
Yeah.
But that was always in my head because it did seem kind of crazy. Like they probably thought, that's it, that's the end. Like she's probably just trying to give it one last try to see, but it's like impossible. And it's like, no, I don't think anything's impossible.
Nothing is impossible.
Like,
literally.
and how would you even know unless you try?
Absolutely. And like I said, I think like the real thing is going for it too. Like that's the fearful part. That's the hard part, right? But you went for it. And fuck those people, anybody who thinks that. You know what I'm saying? That's what I believe. Like it's your own journey and your inner competitiveness. And if you think you can do it, you can definitely do it. That's one thing I tell people all the time. I'm like, I mean, I'm running a business that didn't exist, you know, like this in this world that didn't exist, and we're creating new stuff every single day, and people don't understand it and they can't conceptualize it until you do it, right?
Exactly.
And so it's the same thing as diving, right? And or responding from an unexpected pregnancy. Nobody thinks it can be done until it's done.
Exactly.
It's the way anything good happens and everything's created.
Like people, we need more people who are pushing those boundaries because it inspires other people to try things that they think, you know, aren't possible.
Aren't possible. That's
There's
it.
so many ideas that people don't act on because they don't think it's possible.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Who in your life kind of instilled that mindset into you, or is that something you've kind of developed over time on your own by trying things and succeeding?
I think it is definitely something that I have, you know, instilled in myself.
Yeah.
I felt like, you know, growing up, I had a lot of adversity, and diving was my haven in a way. It was like something that I could control. It's something that I could just do and I was good at. And, you know, it was just something that was steady in my life. So it continued all through my childhood, all through my teenage years, and then into college, and it was still there.
Yeah.
Like it was more than just a sport. It was something that kept me accountable and on a path, like a straight path.
Absolutely.
Where I felt like, you know, at times I could have easily fallen off, but it's like you have to get up to go train. You have to do this, and it was just something that became, you know, second nature. Like this is first.
Yep.
So any other thoughts or any doubts or any, you know, hard times were just trumped by this path that I had to stay on.
I can imagine diving too, and being in a pool is a pretty cool escape too, right? You get to kind of leave your life outside of that and go into this zone, right? Like you're in this water, you're on this dive, you're all alone, right? Like it's probably a pretty cool escape to and be able to balance your mind through some of the things that you're going, you know, through outside of the pool and that kind of stuff, and off the diving board and stuff.
Definitely. I think this time around as well, I have even greater appreciation for the sport. Just the fact that I didn't know how my body was going to respond to pregnancy and childbirth, and, you know, the demands of motherhood, and just every training I felt like I get to train. Like, oh my gosh, like the things that I took for granted, like, oh, I really don't want to do this. I hate it. Like, those were kind of feelings I was starting to get in 2020. And it was kind of like life was like, yeah, well, you know what? Like, you're not going to be able to do this anymore. And I was like, wait. Like, I kind of felt like, oh my gosh, I'm like like I was just forced to stop this sport, which I haven't stopped in like 15 years. And now I'm like, wow, oh my gosh, what do I do now?
Exactly.
And then I was like, when I finally was able to come back, I was like, this is amazing. Like every day, you know, even when it sucks, I was like, this is great.
Yep.
Like,
absolutely.
That's just kind of the mindset I had. And it's just so easy to take things for granted.
I think about that all the time. I'm 34 years old. I still feel like I can throw a baseball. And like, I think about if I ever were to try it again, I'm not saying I'm going to play Major League Baseball, but maybe play a smaller professional league or whatever, right? Something along those lines. I think my mindset would be so different. Exactly what you said. Now being out of the game for 7 years, it's like, I took so much shit for granted. I was so ungrateful. I was so, you know, and my sport might have been different, right? Like the way that I played, and I'm not saying this was your mindset, but just what I feel like I would feel like playing again, I'd be like, you know what, put me in AA, put me on this bus, let me, like, give me all the shitty conditions that I used to complain about, right? Like, because my mindset would be so different now, and the things that I've learned outside of the game. So anybody listening that's an athlete, that's, to me, is the right there, the key. Like, I hope that present athletes can that's, again, why I do my podcast right here, because those kinds of messages, those kinds of things right there are the key to me. Of if I was my 22-year-old self, I wish I would have heard this from somebody else and been like, maybe I'll try that mindset, you know, because yesterday's problem, I mean, today's problems, I'd be, you know, like I'd be begging for what I had when I was 24 years old. You know, it's crazy.
I mean, especially college athletes, it's overwhelming, like balancing school and sport, and you just feel like this sucks sometimes. But it's like, this doesn't suck. Like, this is amazing. You're literally doing what you love.
Exactly.
And, like, you get to have a degree at the end of it, and you get free food and whatever you want. Like, whatever you want, you can
Especially
have it.
today's athletes.
Yes.
You see, like, so when did you leave LSU?
So I did get, like, 1 year of that dining hall, that beautiful dining hall that I wish I could eat at now.
That's unbelievable because I didn't have any of that stuff. I'm like, I had right next to.
I was promised that when I committed, and I was like waiting year after year. But my final year, I did get it. I was like, wow, this is amazing.
I'm so jealous. I really am. I walk through there now or drive past it all the time, and I'm like, like you guys don't even know how great this life is, like at all. It's unbelievable. And I'm so jealous too. I feel like today's athletes at LSU they're all friends, they're all homies, they all like follow each other on social media. Like when I was there, it was like Facebook was just becoming a thing. It was like we didn't even see each other except for like study hall, and it was like, I think that's a football player, I think that's a basketball player. It was so different, you know, like so today's world, I'm telling you, athletes, you guys have it really good.
And with the new NIL stuff, like it's just insane. It's a whole you know, next level.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. So what was your last year at LSU? 19? Okay.
2020. I don't remember. I graduated sometime because I did stay on to coach.
Okay.
I was the graduate assistant coach, and I did my master's. That's when I got pregnant. It was like towards the end of my first year of that.
Okay. But you did the Olympics in 16?
Yes. So I just came here.
Oh my God!
Like
so how does that work?
I just moved here, and
you can be a college athlete and go to the Olympics and everything.
Yeah. So I qualified. So cool. Like I moved here in January. And then I qualified in February.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's wild. And so you were enrolled in school and everything, and you had to like be like.
Yeah, it was just the most insane thing because, I didn't realize I was even in contention for that spot.
Wow.
So I got the call on the 4th of July.
Oh my God.
I made the Olympics. I'm like, what? Like I was just sitting there, like doing summer training, summer classes. It's like, I did what? Like it just was so out of the blue.
So like, oh, by the way, you're going to the Olympics. You're like. Oh.
Yeah, so that changed a lot, and I think...
That was in Rio? I'm sorry.
Yes, Rio. Okay, and I think that, like, because I did that at such a young age, it gave me that confidence in a way that propelled me through the rest to here. Because there's a difference when you haven't qualified or you haven't been close to try to qualify, because it just seems so out of...
Absolutely.
Like, it's so out of, grasp, but it's actually right there.
That's what I was going to ask you. I was trying to do the math of your age. I'm like, if you went to the 16 Olympics, I'm like, and I knew when you were kind of at LSU, and I was like, wow, so you were a freshman. Yeah. So you were 18 years old when you went to the Olympics? I was
18, and it was my 19th birthday when I competed.
Oh my, really?
Yeah, like on my birthday.
No way.
Yeah, it was like this fairy tale thing that just happened.
Oh my God, dude, you've given me chills like 6 times in this episode. This is wild. That's absolutely fascinating. Yeah. Oh my God.
It is insane. I mean, sometimes I think about like where I am and how I got here, and I just don't know. You just do it. That's what I'm saying. It's a mindset. That's the thing. It's like people think way too much. Just go do it.
Right, and just go. And I think it's that mindset that allows you to succeed, right? Because you're just saying, you're like, dude, I was just trying things, and like I'm gonna do what people told me I couldn't do, or what people thought was impossible or wasn't real, right? And then you made it real. So, wow, that's absolutely incredible. How did you do your first time at the Olympics?
I think I came 24th.
Okay.
Which wasn't bad. I mean, like it was pretty good for me.
Yeah.
I just remember having a great time.
24th in the world, yeah, it was pretty freaking good, yeah.
Yeah, I just remember it was such a fun time. Like, I was just there, I was like, I wasn't meant to be here, like, I'm just having a good time. So I was just
18 years old in the Olympic Village.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
It was a fun
Good
time.
for you, yeah, that's absolutely incredible, good. That's what life's about right there. That's, we'll probably do another episode on the Olympic Village alone. That'll be great. I told Kristen and Taryn that I was like, we're going to do just one episode on life in the Olympic Village, just alone.
I know, people want to see that so bad, like what goes on there. But
so many rumors, so many things, but yeah, no.
This is the first year that family is allowed to come in.
What? So wait, family's allowed in the village?
Yeah, but they have to have like a special accreditation, but they're not allowed in the residential area. Gotcha. So they have like this, I guess this like lounge area that parents, and I think I think they made it for like mums and dads and stuff that want to see their kids before they compete, but don't want to go like out in Paris. They just want to see them.
That makes sense. That's really cool.
But yeah, it's very cool.
Nice.
Because like you get a little glimpse of the village. Like you can't go all around, but you can kind of see what it's like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. This has been absolutely amazing. I love this. This conversation has been incredible. So again, thank you for your time. I do want to talk a little bit about like fitness. You have a fitness page, right? So diving and sport have been your life, your whole life. Obviously, this is going to come to an end at some point. What's next for you? Obviously, you know, we work together at F45 and you train at one of my gyms, and we know each other in that world. But what kind of fitness world do you want to go into? Is that something you're planning on doing after, you know, you're done diving? Maybe you can dive forever. I don't know. We're challenging everything.
No, I can't dive forever. I mean, I love it, but it's a lot, like day in and day out. Yeah. I love fitness. I mean, it's always going to be a part of my life. Like I really enjoy working out. Like and I think that's how I can, you know, stay, you know, in shape, because I just love exercising, and I love F45. Like that style of training is like my jam. You know, the endorphins go up. Like after a class, you're just like, I feel good. It's only 45 minutes. You're just like, sweet.
In and out.
So quick.
Yes. Everything's on the TV. You don't have to think too much. You just get to go work out.
Great people, like great vibes. You're just like, yeah, this is awesome. So I love F45. I'll probably continue going there, but I'm going to law school in the fall.
What?
Yeah.
Congrats. Holy shit. So you have a master's and you're going to law school.
Yeah.
And you're going to be a 3-time, well, you qualified, but 2-time Olympian.
Yeah. Do you know, I found out recently I'm the first New Zealand diver in history to go to 2 Olympics.
What?
Yeah. Which is pretty crazy.
We're going to have a chills count. Like, I'm like, dude, like, you're just fucking crushing this right now. This is crazy.
Yeah,
wow.
I can't believe, like, I was like, oh, really? Like, I had no idea. But that's, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Amazing. Holy shit.
But yeah, I'm going to law school, Loyola.
Nice.
So it's going to be part-time.
Yeah,
it's part-time. Night school, twice a week. That was another thing that I didn't really plan. That I was like to my husband, I was like, what should I do? Like, I can't just like do nothing. And he's like, I think you should go to law school. And I'm like, what? And he's like, well, if you don't go, I'll go. And I'm like, well, it's like, firstly, why do you think I should go to law school?
Yeah.
He's like, you know, you love talking, you love knowing things, like you like studying for some reason, like, why don't you go? Yeah. I was like, okay. And then so like
I love that logic. That's incredible.
Yeah, and like, because I was like, you know, sometimes it's best to ask other people what you should do. Yeah. Because they have more of a bird's eye view of you as a person. Yeah. Like you can get in your own head and not see the overall picture. Yeah. So yeah, I like within that like next few days, I just wrote up an application, and I had already taken the GRE because I was going to go into my PhD, but I decided I didn't want to do that. Just time commitment, a lot of different reasons. I worked in a lab and decided I hated research. Yeah. So I was like, no, I don't think that's my thing. So I already had the GRE, and Loyola was one of the only universities that took the GRE or the LSAT. And I was like, I'll just apply with everything I have. Like, if I get in, I get in. If I don't, cool. Yeah. But I ended up getting in, and I ended up getting some scholarships. So I was like,
of course you did.
I guess this is the path I'm taking. So I kind of let like signs almost, or like if things seem like they're going in a path, I don't resist them. I just keep going with them. So that's my next plan.
No, we talked about it. I mean, energy, right? Like that's what you're like, if something's showing you the way, don't resist it. Yeah,
exactly. Go with it. Just go with the flow. It's hard, fine. Like that's good. It's probably more worth it.
Absolutely.
So that's my plan for the next 4 years afterwards. And you know, with the fitness as well. So studying fitness, more kids.
Yeah, more kids. I was gonna ask. Okay, some more kids on the horizon after the Olympics.
At least one more. At least one more. Okay. But yeah, we'll see.
Go for a boy, maybe.
Yes,
you want a boy?
Yeah, I would love to like have a little boy, and since we're in America, like go for those sports, like be one of those. Yeah. Because like we don't have that in New Zealand, absolutely. So I thought it'd be really cool to see like baseball, basketball, or football.
Yeah, absolutely. Like and your husband lives in he grew up in Baton Rouge.
No, he grew up in Laplace. Okay. So it's like a little tiny town, I guess, outside of New Orleans, closer to New Orleans area.
Okay. Very nice. So we plan on making roots here.
Yeah, for now. Yeah. We both like Baton Rouge area a little bit more than the New Orleans side. New Orleans kind of freaks me out, if I'm being honest. It's like a little like, oh, I get it. I get where am I going? Like, but Baton Rouge, you know, we have LSU. It's familiar. Like, I really feel like it's kind of become like a home, and especially meeting people at the gym, like it's just such a great crowd, like really good people around here. So.
Absolutely. But no New Zealand plans, nothing?
No, not yet.
You have family over there still, everybody?
Yes, yeah. My whole family's still there. We did try to go to New Zealand, and I had my baby in New Zealand.
What?
Yeah, so we moved there for like 9 months.
Really?
Yeah, and like the average house price is like 1.2 million, and it's
it
like
looks gorgeous.
it's like a block.
Yeah.
Like it's like you're not getting anything.
They're not
for
making
that
it.
money.
Yeah, there's not a lot of land. Yeah.
Yeah, so my husband was like, "We can stay here if you want." But, like
we can get a lot more for 1.4
Yeah.
million in Baton Rouge.
Like,
I promise.
we could buy a house now, or we could like wait like 20 years, 30 years. Okay, so yeah, we came back, but I'm really glad we went because he never really went out of the country, so he's just like came to New Zealand, saw what that's all about. And now, you know, my daughter's been to Japan, Norway, Australia, New Zealand. She's going to Paris with us. And then we're going to England after that to visit my friends. So
very nice.
She's not even 3 and she's going to like...
Yeah, she's checked off way more countries than I've ever been to. Yeah, and I feel like I have a decent passport. Yeah, that's unbelievable. So, wow.
Yeah.
No, that's amazing.
It's going to be a fun summer.
Absolutely. Well, we are very much looking forward to watching you. It's been a pleasure getting to know you and working with you and you know, training with you at F45. Thank you for all your time that you put into there, into that and our business over there. But this was an awesome conversation. This was absolutely incredible. So
thank you so much for having me. I've never really talked on a podcast like this, so I've really appreciated it.
Super easy, right?
Yeah, I love it.
Where can everybody find you social media? I know you have a fitness page, so you want to shout that out. We're going to put it in the show notes and everything. But
my fitness page is, I think it's Lizzie Roussel Fit, and then my main Instagram is Lizzie_Q, which is spelled CUI.
Is that your maiden?
Yeah, my maiden name.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Is that a New Zealand, like?
No, my mom's Chinese.
What?
Yeah.
You're the most interesting woman in the world. Let's go. That's crazy. Really?
People
Okay.
don't really realize that. Yeah, but my mom is like straight from
100% Chinese.
Yes.
So does she speak the
You know, like The Incredibles, you know, like Edna from The Incredibles, that's like my mom.
Oh my God.
She's actually like that little, she's the best. But
badass.
Yeah, but I take my mom's name, which is Chinese.
How many, do you speak other languages? Do you?
I speak a little bit of Chinese, but not enough. There's no, no one to practice with. I think if I lived in China for a bit, I could pick it up very quickly, but.
Does she speak English too? Like
she does.
She does? Wow.
Because my dad doesn't speak Chinese, so she's like.
And your dad's New Zealand?
Yeah.
Is it, how do you say New Zealand dish?
We call them Kiwis.
Kiwis?
Yeah, we call ourselves
really?
Kiwis. Not the fruit, the bird.
Okay.
Like, it's our native bird. It's actually a useless bird that can't fly and it's endangered. But,
oh, no.
Yeah, that's what we're called, Kiwis.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, very nice. And is there there's not a language, you guys speak English?
Yeah, we speak English, but there's a native language called Maori.
That's what I thought, yeah. Because I played with a guy that played.
M-A-O-R-I.
What is it? Sorry.
M-A-O-R-I, Maori.
Yes, yeah.
And like the native people kind of look a little Pacific Islander type. Yep. That's.
I played with a dude that was from New Zealand. That's how I know a little bit about it.
Oh,
like, it almost looked like a Polynesian, right?
Yes, like Polynesian type.
Yeah. Cool. And so he did all these like chants and like these dances,
we do
right?
like a haka. If you ever get a chance to watch the Olympics this year, check out New Zealand. Like both the men and the women will do a haka right before they compete.
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like we do like to incorporate that culture into what it is to be like a New Zealander.
Absolutely.
It makes, I think, you know, New Zealand very unique.
It does, yeah. No, I remember that. So the baseball team, now that I'm thinking about it, for the World Baseball Classic, they were doing all those things, and there was a lot of notoriety around it, obviously, and I thought it was so cool. So I'm big into like understanding different cultures and learning about different countries and things like that. So super cool. I'll definitely be watching. Cool. Yeah. Well, Lizzie, thank you so much. Good luck. I know you'll be traveling. I'm sure I'll see you at F45. But again, thank you so much. Make sure everybody, you go follow her, go support her, and make sure we watch the Olympics. And you said August 7th?
Yep, August 7th
is your day?
Is my
your 3 seconds?
And then, my 3 seconds. Well, it's actually like 3 seconds of the 5 dives, so 15 seconds.
15 seconds? Okay. I'll carve out some time, I guess.
15 seconds of fame. But then the semifinals on the 8th and the final will be on the 9th. So I hope I compete on the 9th.
You're going to be on the 9th.
That'd be awesome.
Yes. Who's competing from U.S.? Is it Cassidy? Does Cassidy Cook go still?
Cassidy Cook is doing synchro. She doesn't do individual anymore.
Okay.
And then her synchro partner is Sarah Bacon, and the other one is Allison Gibson.
Gotcha.
And they both were in college when I was in college. So
I went to college with Cassidy's older sister. She has a bunch.
Yeah, she went to LSU.
Yeah, Kelsey
that's crazy.
So, so I was friends with Kelsey. I knew Cassie when she was little, and Kelsey was like, she's going to be in the Olympics. And I'm like, okay, I'll say, like, whatever. Like,
yeah.
And now she's like the baddest and like one of the best in the world. Like, I'm like, oh, okay, you weren't lying. Yeah.
Yeah, she came back from an injury too, like multiple shoulder surgeries. So
she's a badass. Yeah,
she's very cool.
We'll be watching. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Go back to being a rock star and being a mom and doing all the great things that you do. Thank you.
Thank you so much.